Good evening and welcome to Fox News Tonight. I'm Trey Gowdy. Thank you for watching. Have you ever noticed history only seems to run one way? Yesterday should have been a day of celebration, no matter your political orthodoxy. Son of the Deep South, born in the birthplace of the Civil War, a man who grew up sharing a house with a reminder of yesterday's pain, announced he wanted to lead the nation. You do not have to vote for or support Tim Scott to take pride in the fact that we are constantly trying to perfect this union. A country that once considered him less than a full person has a chance to make him the leader of the free world.
For those of you who wonder if America is a racist country, take a look at how people come together. All of God's people come together. Black ones and white ones, and red ones and brown ones, working together because love, unconditional love, binds hearts together. We are not defined by the color of our skin. We are defined by the content of our character. And if anyone tells you anything different, they're lying.
And yet, we witness once again the harsh reality that you can be anything you want to be in this country, except a black Republican. Anything you want to be, except a black conservative. Tim Scott is not the only example of history only running to the left. Contrast the way Justice Clarence Thomas is treated with the way Justice Thurgood Marshall is treated. Contrast the way Dr. Ben Carson is treated with the way Cori Bush is treated. There are other examples, to be sure, but the contrast between those who seek the highest office in the land is stark.
Tim Scott will have to face his ancestors one day. I don't know what kind of people they were, but he will have to answer for all the choices he's made, all the decisions.
He has to essentially endorse, right, the white power structure, and he cannot step off that team for not even a little. I feel sorry for him that he has to go into the history books this way, but apparently that's where he wants to be.
This week, the sole black Republican in the Senate sounded a stone fool when he said this.
Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country.
There are two sides to every token. So thirsty for white approval. I could go into great detail refuting each of his asinine points, but he did that for me. And moreover, a lesson I've learned, don't argue with people Harriet Tubman would have left behind.
And there's nothing quite like the women of The View telling Tim Scott what it means to be a black man in America.
He's one of these guys who, he's like Clarence Thomas, black Republican who believes in pulling yourself by your bootstraps, rather than, to me, understanding the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it, neither does Clarence.
Right.
And that's why they're Republicans.
Contrast the way Senator Barack Obama was treated when he announced his run for the presidency with the way Tim Scott is treated. With then Senator Obama, the media was hardly able to catch its breath, to avoid fainting, to ignore the tingle running down its collective leg long enough to ask any serious questions. With Tim Scott, the questions are all about someone else, not named Tim Scott. Tim Scott is treated one way, but if you're a Democrat like Kamala Harris, you are treated differently.
The night that Kamala Harris made history as the first woman, the first person of color elected vice president.
The symbolism of having a mom of color up there talking, about these situations, I think it is important.
The child of immigrants, first black, first South Asian woman, is going to represent us.
Remember, she is the first woman vice president. She's the first woman of color vice president.
Kamala Harris is visiting there as the first woman, female vice president, the first woman of color to visit that region.
Do you think anyone in the media will ask Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson whether she will vote for Tim Scott for president? They shouldn't. She won't vote for him, nor should she vote for him, because they're not politically aligned. So why would the media berate Tim Scott about why he didn't support a judge with whom he is not politically aligned? Is he supposed to support her version of history while she is not? Or does history only run in one direction? Tim Scott has been called things most of us will never be called. And even if we were called these vile things, it would not affect many of us if we are white. The words do not have a historical sting if uttered against us. He's been called a prop, a token, Uncle Tim, a sellout, a betrayal to his race. For what sin, you might ask, is he called these things? What offense did he commit? What crime warrants such vitriol? He defeated the sons of a popular governor and a popular United States senator to even make it to the House. He won statewide in South Carolina with overwhelming support. He has authored landmark pieces of legislation and shepherded other bills through the Congress. He has endured car stops by the police, been prevented from entering the Capitol because of the color of his skin, and yet the harshest things he endures are from those who claim to be the most progressive. Whether or not you vote for or support Tim Scott is irrelevant. He captures the pain and the progress and the potential and the promise of a nation, of a union seeking to perfect itself, and that should be celebrated. But it will not be. Not by the media, not by the left. So the left can go right on calling him whatever they want to call him. You just make sure you call him a United States senator, and you call him a candidate for the presidency. And maybe one day history can run both left and right. And that would be some real progress, wouldn't it be?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.